Good evening. I want to talk to you tonight about who is in control. Nearly since the creation, man has desired to be in control. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, God gave man complete dominion over the life form of the earth. God gave this authority to man. God is in control. It didn't take long for man to desire to become more than just the ruler of the earth. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 5, we, mankind, became deceived by Satan, that we could become like God. Man was punished for this and kicked out of the garden, away from the tree of life. God is in control. This punishment wasn't enough to change man's mind, so man decided to take control again, to reach heaven, to make a name for themselves, recorded in Genesis chapter 11, verse 4. God again shows He is in control. Fast forward to Egypt and Moses. God shows He is in control with the plagues. God demonstrates His control and power over nature with the parting of the Red Sea, something man cannot and never will be able to do. God is in control. Now think about man's desire to be in control. It began in the garden and continues on to this very present day. Man thinks he is in control. We have harnessed the power of the physical to control our lives, only to be frustrated at the first heavy rainstorm that humbles us. We have harnessed the power of the atom, only to be shown who's the boss when things go terribly wrong. Man has attempted to record information for future analyzation and use to control our lives, to only be thwarted by a new discovery that causes the once treasured academia to be relegated to the history books of failed ideas. We have developed technology to interact with the information we've collected in a futile attempt to control our lives, only to be faced with the reality of abuse and misuse of that information by man to be used against ourselves. Man has attempted to control disease, long-term climate, short-term weather, the financial markets, the landscape, our very lifespan, only to be utterly disappointed. Man will never master any of these and many more because God is ultimately in control. The mass hysteria surrounding the current events clearly demonstrate the mindset of the world around us. The world believes that man is in control, that we can control this or that. While I'm not minimizing the potential disaster that is before us, let me remind you that God is in control. When we rely on ourselves, our technology, our experts, or whatever it is, you fill in the blank, in our minds, we remove God from the position in which He holds, that is, ultimate control. This is evident by the actions of the masses. The reality is we are not in control, no matter how desperately we want to be. Jesus makes this fairly plain in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 6. Also in His prayer in John chapter 17, and many other instances in the Bible where we can read that God is in control. We need to reaffirm and acknowledge this truth and let Him, God, Christ, take control of our lives. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 through 34, the Bible reads, "For this reason I say to you, do not be worried about your life as what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body as to what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow, nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they? And who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? And why are you worried about clothing? Observe how the lilies of the field grow. They do toil, nor do they spin. And yet I say to you that not even Solomon in all his glory clothed himself like one of these. But if God so clothed the grass of the field, which is alive today and is thrown into the furnace, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Do not worry then, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear for clothing? For the Gentiles eagerly seek all these things. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will care for itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. One last thought before we close. In Psalm chapter 37, verse 25, the psalmist writes, I have been young and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his descendants begging bread. Are you tonight one of God's descendants? Are you one of the righteous? If not, why not become one to partake in the rich blessings